Yo, what is up guys? Dubois here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. So this past weekend we have had Alexander Usyk versus Daniel Dubois. Usyk of course winning by a 9th round stoppage, where Daniel Dubois took a knee and quit. That is the reality, plus obviously post-fight, a lot of fake controversy surrounding a low blow, which many people claim wasn't a low blow, but a basic grasp of what the belt line is, what's a scoring area, would prove that to be a low blow. Ultimately, a shot to the bladder in boxing is not a scoring punch, it's an illegal punch. It's just that simple. There is no debate on whether it was or whether it wasn't. The rules are quite simple. It's a low blow. But obviously that's been a big talking point after this fight in relation to Daniel Dubois. For some reason Dubois is getting a lot of credit for landing an illegal shot. And of course on top of that, we're having the same usual spiel of when a British boxer fights at world level and loses in a fight in which he's the underdog. We get the same narrative each and every time. Brave, dared to be great, all of these cliche phrases get bandied about when a fight like this happens, involving a UK fighter. And listen, sometimes a fighter should get praised for showing heart, courage, determination, even if they lose, you know. Yeah, fighters should get credit when they go above and beyond, but that's not what Daniel Dubois did. There were some aspects of his performance I felt were good. One thing I will say, I felt it was the best Dubois has looked in terms of footwork. I thought his feet were very good in the fight with Usyk. His jab was pretty solid throughout, landed some good shots here and there. He had his moments. You know, I don't think his game plan was terrible. And yeah, honestly, I felt from a technical standpoint, purely technical standpoint, that was the best Dubois we've ever seen. So yeah, there are elements of this fight in which we can be positive about in regards to Dubois' performance. However, I'm not having this narrative that he competed tooth and nail round after round, that it was a close fight, he was showing this unimaginable bravery. That never happened. He arguably won one round, maybe round 4. I gave him round 4. Aside from that, he got completely outboxed, completely out-hustled, completely outworked. Usyk was landing the better shots throughout, and ultimately he was dictating the fight. And yeah, as soon as Usyk really started to pick up the tempo in rounds 8 and 9, first bit of danger, Dubois quit when he got a little bit too hard. That's the reality of the situation. He quit. And for whatever reason, you know, if you say he quit, you're saying something wrong. That's just the facts. That's what happened. Now, when it comes to quitting, I'm not militant on it. I think there are certain scenarios where if a fighter pulls out, it's understandable. Let's say, for example, you have a broken orbital bone. You have a severely broken jaw. Or even a dislocation, something like that. I think there are scenarios where it's okay for a fighter to pull out and live to see another day. I get it. But people are acting like that was the case with Dubois. It wasn't like this guy was taking boatloads of punishment. Yeah, he got buzzed a couple of times early on by Usyk. Not seriously buzzed, but he got put in his place in the second round on a couple of occasions. And he was getting tagged up throughout the fight. But nothing that looked like he was ever seriously in trouble. I don't think Dubois was ever seriously hurt, quite frankly. And it wasn't even a super physically taxing fight, you know? But as soon as Usyk really started to go through the gears in rounds 8 and 9, Dubois found the canvas twice, took the knee. That's what happened. He never went above and beyond, and he hadn't sustained a tremendous amount of punishment, from what I saw. And yeah, despite me calling Dubois out for quitting, which he did do, I get people saying, oh, that's a distasteful thing to say. And then they'll come out with the same old cliche bullshit retorts, which aren't even retorts, but they'll say things like, oh, you've never boxed before, this, that and the third, all that nonsense. Like that's even an answer. Like that's even a response to me claiming Dubois quit, which he clearly did. And for me, the reason I made a point that he quits was because in my opinion, he had a lot more left in the tank. To me, he didn't leave it all in the ring. And when you're a prize fighter, that is unforgivable when you're fighting on pay-per-view. Bear in mind, this is now the third fight where Dubois found that knee. He did it in the Usyk fight, he did it in the Lorena fight, and he did it in the Joe Joyce fight. And at the time, when Dubois quit in the Joyce fight, I wasn't harsh on him, because immediately after the fight, they said it was an orbital bone injury. And in that scenario, I don't expect a fighter to continue. However, seeing what I've seen from Dubois since then, I do doubt whether Dubois' orbital was actually really injured in that fight. I just think it was swelling. Knowing what we know now, I think we can doubt the legitimacy of that injury, given how we've seen Dubois react in certain fights since then. But for whatever reason, the topic of quitting in boxing, and when you call it out, for whatever reason it makes some boxing fans real uncomfortable. And it's funny because these same fight fans will say they'll protect guys like Dubois from swallowing it. They'll protect this guy, and in the same breath, they'll label these fighters as modern-day gladiators, these brave warriors, etc. When I'm holding them to that standard, I'm being unreasonable. That's one of their fucking talking points. These guys are so brave, and they're going so above and beyond, that a guy like me can't criticise them, because I've never boxed before. This is how sheltered these individuals are, if you think that's the only thing in life where you show heart, where you show perseverance. Absolute nonsense. You're claiming these guys to be gladiators, to be warriors, but when some cunt like me online says, well, show it then, I'm being unreasonable. Can you imagine? And of course, on top of that, the main part of Dubois' performance where he's getting praise is from an illegal shot. Seriously, what is wrong with the world? It feels like we're living in one giant South Park episode. The reaction to this fight has been utterly bizarre. It really has been. You know, fighters now getting praise for low blows. Fighters getting praise for showing great effort and desire in a fight in which they quit in. And not that they quit, but they quit when they clearly had more in the tank. But for whatever reason, we can't criticise this as fight fans. You know, we're labelled casuals, you know, this, that and the third. You've never boxed before, you know, and that's really all they come back with. Absolute simps. They simp for a watered down version of boxing. That's what they're promoting. That's what they're encouraging. When it comes to these fighters, if you're going to use the terms, you know, these guys are modern day gladiators, warriors, this, that and a third, then I think it's okay to expect them to go above and beyond. Especially when it's a heavyweight title fight. Especially when it's on pay-per-view. Especially when you're getting paid multi-millions of pounds. I think it's okay to expect a little more than normal from these guys. I think that's okay. I don't want to see a guy on pay-per-view who, maybe when things get a little tough, is going to swallow it. It's not a satisfactory way to end the fight. That's a reality. And the fact that this quit job by Dubois has gone so under the radar is unbelievable. What Dubois did in this fight was worse than any of Victor Ortiz's quit jobs. Any of them. But, you know, for whatever reason, this guy's getting a pass. Is that okay now just to quit under a little bit of pressure? Boxing is so soy now. It's so watered down. It's unbelievable. I honestly can't fathom the reaction to this fight. I can't fathom it. I guess boxing fans' standards are in the gutter. They must be, right? Considering the reactions I've seen to this fight. But anyway, share your thoughts below. What are your thoughts on the way this fight ended in particular? Were you happy with Dubois doing what he did? Do you think he had more to give? And by the way, nobody meet me with that bullshit. Oh, Dubois was getting up at 9.5. He wanted out. We all know that. But yeah, let me know below your opinions on how Dubois ended this fight, because that is the correct statement. Dubois ended this fight. How do you feel about it? Do you believe it was acceptable? Or do you believe he should have showed more in there? I believe he should have showed more. I believe he should have persisted for longer, but he chose not to. And to me, you know, at this level on pay-per-view for a heavyweight title, unacceptable. Just my opinion. Share your thoughts below. Peace.